Hello, today I'm going to talk about Commander Cody's Zeta and when and why you might want it. I build characters in Star Wars, Galaxy of Heroes, and other games. Please like and subscribe and help me grow my channel. There's a lot to consider when deciding on whether or not to Zeta Commander Cody, so let's get into it. The first two videos I'm showing will be the OG clones with no Cody Zeta, but after that, the rest of the video has him Zeta'd. I'm going to talk about the clones kits and assume you have the abilities maxed out but maybe not Zeta'd. So I'm going to tell you right now when you should get Cody's Zeta and why. You should get it if it's your first or second Zeta in the game or early on an alternate account. There, the video's over, you can stop now. Just kidding. But if you don't even need to watch the rest of this video to tell me I'm wrong, then leave a comment and we can fight with words. Nice words that won't get reviewed. If you're just starting this game and you're having to get through your 50 Galactic War wins and get up to level 85, then starting with the clones is actually a pretty good plan. If you start with them, you get 3 ship pilots, 3 501st, which will be, let's just say, required later on, a good squad for the AAT raid, and 4 good tunes for the Rancor raid. So, let's see what you can get when you Zeta Cody. Without the Zeta, Cody's leadership, Ghost Company Commander, says clone allies gain 25% critical chance, and other allies gain half that amount. Cody gains 50% defense for each living clone ally, and other clone allies gain half that amount. The Zeta gives you an additional 5% crit chance, 10% defense, and clone allies recover 5% of their max protection whenever they use a basic ability. That might not sound like much until you understand how much this team uses its basic abilities. This team also manipulates turn meter bit by bit and does a crazy amount of critical hits. Let's look at the rest of his kit. Alpha Strike. Deal physical damage to the target enemy and gain 20% turn meter. Gain an additional 20% turn meter if that enemy has more than 50% health, and an additional 20% turn meter if that enemy has less than 50% turn meter. That's up to 60% turn meter from his basic plus 5% protection. The 2/12th attack calls all clone allies and 1 random ally to assist. Each time an assist scores a critical hit, reduce the cooldown of this ability by 1 with a cooldown of 6. Cody gives 30% crit chance with his Zeta, and if you have these guys modded for crit chance, then you'll be able to do this every other turn, and everyone also gets 5% protection with the Zeta. If Rex has his unique Zeta, it could be every round. Speaking of Rex, let's look at his kit. His basic, impeding shot, isn't much with a lot of enemies, but with a single enemy, it's a big deal. It removes 25% turn meter and grants potency up for 1 turn to a random 501st clone trooper ally who doesn't already have it. The trick to this is that the turn meter reduction works even when he's called to assist. It's not as good as gaining turn meter because it's 1 enemy and it can be resisted, but I'll take it. Form Up. Dispel all debuffs on all allies and grant them tenacity up for 3 turns. Clone trooper allies gain 60% turn meter plus an additional 10% turn meter for each debuff dispelled this way. Hopefully you're using this before you get debuffed, but 60% turn meter is huge. It's usually enough to give a few clones 100% turn meter and 1 step closer to using a basic and getting 5% protection. Then, his unique gives another 4% speed for each 501st ally. In this lineup, that's 12%. They are not the fastest faction, but this helps them keep up, and with all the turn meter manipulation, it all adds up. Let's go to 5s now. His basic inflicts speed down, which reduces the enemy's speed by 25%, and if the enemy already has speed down, then he shoots again. That's up to 10% protection recovery for the team's tank. That's quite substantial. When he's called to assist on Cody's mass assist attack, he would get another 10%. His special, Cover Fire, calls someone else to assist, which lets their basic work and grants them 5% more protection. Fives' unique Domino Squad gives him an 85% chance to counterattack with his basic 5% protection recovery. Echo. Echo's basic grants 15% turn meter to someone under 50% turn meter. His unique, Copy That, lets him assist whenever another clone uses their basic ability on their turn, which happens quite a bit after the first round of turns. So after the first round, he'll probably gain 10-15% protection between each of his turns, assuming he can assist. Echo's version of Domino Squad stacks an additional 20% critical chance on top of Cody's leadership for a total of plus 45% for all the clones. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Sarge. I'm going to start with his unique because it's important for him. Concentrated Fire gives him an additional 4.5% chance per clone ally, which I assume doesn't include himself, so he'll get another 18% critical chance, which my Gear 10 Sarge has a base of 34% crit chance. So let's do the math. 34 plus 18 plus 45 equals 98% chance to critically hit if everyone is alive, and that's before mods. With that in mind, now we can talk about his basic Z4 rotary blaster. On a critical hit, which is 98% most of the time, he gains 50% turn meter and 5% protection from the Zeta. And his only other attack, Suppressive Fire, can remove 50% turn meter. If you get enough potency on him, his effective speed is 50% faster than his stats say, which is probably pretty slow. My Gear 9 Sarge has a base speed of 107, then I've added another 49 for a total of 156. So on his first turn, he's gonna get turns like someone that's 234 speed. Just for a visual, this is every ability that has something turn meter or assist related. Now that you see how much protection you'll start recovering, let's talk about why it might be the best Zeta in the beginning. Your biggest concerns in the early game are getting through light side battles, doing well in squad and ship arenas, getting through Galactic War, getting through the challenges, and getting decent damage done in raids. Getting to 7 stars for clones can be a little slow because they are all farmed in stores except Clone Sergeant, which you can find in Node 5C light side battles, which is not a good place to farm him. You'll probably get Sarge from the free Bronzium packs and Galactic War rewards, most of all, but he shows up in Fleet Store too. You'll probably 7-star 5s first because he's in the Cantina store. The other 3 you'll mostly get from the Guild and Fleet stores. The best thing about Cody Zeta is that it gives you the ability to work through longer battles like light side battles, raids, special events, and territory battles. Rex's leadership is great for versus battles like Squad Arena and Grand Arena because of the bonus turn meter you get when you're critically hit. In Squad Arena, I'd say you'd be hard pressed now to break into the top 500 with Cody Zeta if you started the shard early. You could probably stay in the top 500 with Rex lead and one of the clones Zetas, but it's just one game mode and increasingly insignificant one at that. Cody Zeta will do amazing things for you in territory battles. There's just so much protection recovery happening. His lead will carry you through until you get Shock T geared and leveled up and replace Cody entirely for most modes. Even though the raids are considered irrelevant by most guilds, Cody Zeta can let clones solo Phase 4 of the AAT raid. I even figured out a way to solo the Rancor raid with Commander Luke Skywalker in the lead, Cody, Rex, Sarge, and Fives. I think I've talked about the squad enough, so I'm just going to let you marinate on everything I've talked about. Please like and subscribe to the channel. May the Force be with you.